Welcome, exceptional realtors and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, December 9th, 2021, and this is Mastermind podcast number 356. As I was just saying before we started the recording, we're here for you. We're looking for your win of the week. We're looking for your idea of the week. We're looking for challenges, success stories. This call is all about you, so we'll stay as long as it takes, and if you don't have anything, we'll all get back to work. It's rare that we don't have at least a couple, but right now we do not have anyone in the queue. Partners, Tim, anything you want to go over this week? Any announcements?
No, I just like hearing you talk, Jim. I think it's great.
Me too. My wife loves it too. She tells me that all the time. She always tells me She always tells me you don't talk enough, Jim. So, yeah, appreciate that. Bruce, what word?
Yeah, I do.
The only thing I would...
Go ahead, Tim, first.
Oh, all I was going to say is, unfortunately, I'm driving. I got stuck in traffic on the way back, so I'm in my truck right now. I'll be back at the office shortly and be a little bit... That's why you didn't hear any wonderful music to start with. The one thing I was going to say is that, you know, we do... Can you hear me?
Can hear you great. Yep.
Okay. So what I was going to say is that one of the things that we're going to be doing going forward, and we're moving towards this in the next year, is trying to make it so that there's a more significant reason for people to join us on this call, because listening to us talk to ourselves doesn't get us anywhere. And you're correct. We've done a lot of statistical analysis, and our podcasts are listened to just a ton, and we know that's a great thing for a lot of people, but the reality is that we can't, it doesn't do us any good to do these calls without having folks on here and being able to interact with them and solve problems, meet needs, hear good things. So we're going to work out a way to give you some incentives to come join us on this call. And we know that you guys are always motivated by financial incentives or contests or things like that. So I think you can look forward to us doing some of that. Jim, I've been giving some thought to that from a marketing standpoint, and I'll have some stuff to announce next week about what we're going to be doing going forward next year. So as you all know, also, we do offer already a financial incentive for both the win of the week and the idea of the week. And the win of the week is obviously whoever has done their best job out there to make the most out of a probate lead and maximize an opportunity and close a deal. That's the win of the week. And the idea of the week is someone who's come up with a unique way to market to their customers, to do something unique, share something that you came up with as an idea that has worked well for you, for other people. And in both cases, we offer you a financial incentive. We offer you a discount on leads. It's basically worth about $100 to you for either one of those. And we look forward to putting that money out every week. And we've kind of been lacking in our ability to do that. So let's make sure we get some wins and get some great ideas on here. That's it, Jim.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this several times, but another financial incentive is the cash advance program with our partners at Probate Cash. If you're talking to any of your leads, and I would just routinely make this another one of the services you offer them, tell the people, hey, you may be just getting started with the probate. It might be 3, 4, 6 months until you're going to get any funds. If you need funds to fix up the house, make the mortgage payments, if one of the heirs needs money, you may have, mom died, we got to get dad in a nursing home, that type of a situation. The folks at Probate Cash have been awesome, and I know we've had really good results. The people that are taking advantage of it are reporting back to us and telling us how happy they are with it. And the heirs, with very little hassle, get significant portion of their cash. I mean, up to like $500,000, I think, right away. And you guys get a $300 referral for referring them. So it's a great way that you can monetize these leads, whether you do business with the people or not. And it's a great way that you can cover the cost of your leads also. So wanted to remind you of that. And Bruce, you have stayed silent too long. I know you had something good to share.
Well, no, actually, what I have to share, I'm going to piggyback on what you just said about offsetting your leads. Guys, if you're in markets, and especially if you either are doing marketing, so you're spending money on marketing, on mail, on websites, on ISAs, whatever it is that you're spending money on to kind of accentuate the services and the promotion that you have, I'm a huge advocate of bringing your team in and charging them for value that you give, not just referrals, not just saying, hey, I'm looking for a referral partner that does X, Y, or Z. Do you want in? And then they say yes and then send referrals, but actually sharing resources, sharing warm leads, potentially sharing lists, things like that. If you're doing that in your business, you should definitely be leveraging those relationships that you have to offset some of your costs. It's only going to help you expand your reach and make more prospecting and marketing touches with your leads. So if you're not doing that, I highly encourage everyone to do that. I preach on it a lot, but I realized yesterday during Foundations class that I hadn't talked about that for many months, and I just wanted to put that bug in your ear if it's the first time that you've heard me say it, or if maybe you planned on doing it but you've forgotten. Go out and talk to those vendors, talk to those people that are going to get a benefit out of these, out of your prospecting and marketing efforts, and bring them into your campaign. Now, what I was going to say before that is totally unrelated. We usually do a role play call on the third Wednesday each month. The third Wednesday this month is just, there's a lot of stuff going on with everyone, and so we're going to put the role play call off until January. Just wanted to let you guys know in case you were planning on a role play call in the next couple of weeks. With the holidays, I think it's best that we reboot it in January.
Absolutely. And we have teased before that we've got some incredible new programs coming in the next month or two or three, and 2022 is going to be the year that our company kind of lives up to its name, All the Leads. You know, we're going to be providing you with a whole lot more than just probate leads in the coming months and years. So that's a teaser, and I probably said too much already. That's all I got to say about that. We have no one in the queue. Chuck, anything you want to add this week?
Well, I think, you know, as we have a lot of conversations with folks who are expressing interest in the ISA program, I think it really comes down to, you know, hitting the foundations approach and making those calls. And if you don't have the opportunity to really put in the hours and make the calls day in and day out and consistently do that for 6 months worth of leads, I think that, I mean, that's one of the key reasons why half of the Foundations class really is focused on the calling. And I listened to something this morning that said every deal comes from a conversation. You need to have more conversations with people about real estate, and definitely this by reaching out to the folks that are on the leads list that you get from All the Leads and discussing, you know, where they are and what their interest to do with the real estate. It's absolutely, people are doing deals. Talked with a guy, and Jim, we talked about this early on in the call, a couple minutes before it started, but people are averaging, I spoke to one guy, he's doing a wholesale deal every single month by following exactly to the T the ATL process, what Bruce is teaching, and he wasn't even as consistent on the follow-up and the calls as he wanted to. And just as a reminder that we are out here and available to be able to put an ISA into your business framework that can allow you to make those calls and have that done in spite of you, right? Because life happens to all of us. We're definitely busy, especially this time of year. And the other aspect is December is a phenomenal month for marketing in real estate. It's always been one of the strongest for me in my business. So even as I'm talking to folks, well, do you think it makes sense to make the calls during this month? Absolutely. This is, I mean, when the holidays come together, this is where a lot of the financial pressures and the stresses and emotions start to come up, and anxieties about financial situations, which can be a driver for somebody to be motivated to sell their property. So it's really important that consistently make implementing marketing. And it doesn't just have to be cold calling, but we do know that consistently people are doing deals by having those cold calls being made to the personal representatives, following the approach that we're teaching, and people are doing deals. And the opportunity to make those introductions and have those conversations do not coast into the end of the year. So definitely hit those phones. If you need someone to fill in because you just don't have the ability in your schedule, whether it's due to production or maybe you're looking to get started and you have another full-time job, absolutely get in touch with the sales folks at All the Leads. They can get you on scheduled for a 30-minute conversation with me, and I can absolutely break down the entire ISA program and how we can help you in your business.
Well said, sir. Appreciate it. And I heard Bruce about to chime in with I just wanted to add before Bruce, if I may, that we've been doing this for going on 7 to 8 years now, and I think you all know, all of us have a real estate background. You know, we've sold and managed and coached, you know, over the last many years. You know, direct mail does work. And we do have, I've gotten in the habit of calling our subscribers on a monthly basis now, and they're usually somewhat surprised to hear from me, but just to kind of see how they're doing. I'm doing that in addition to the coaches. And it surprises me. We do have a number of subscribers that have been with us for years. They mail, they never pick up the phone, and they get an ROI. They get a minimal ROI, but it's still worth it for them to keep going. We have other people in highly competitive markets that, you know, can mail, you know, a letter a week for a year, and they're not going to get the results if they don't pick up the phone. But one thing we know is true, you know, no matter how many mailings you send out, your results are going to be exponentially better if you do pick up the phone. And I think we're sometimes guilty of stressing how important it is, if you have the bandwidth, make the calls yourself. That is important. I'm not discounting it. You know, it's probably true that nobody can sell you like you can. But I also know that there is some value in third-party selling. You know, if you don't have the bandwidth because you're so busy, or you just don't have the courage to pick up the phone and you can't get yourself to do it, there is power in having someone else call and sing your praises. It's a lot easier for someone on the phone to say, I mean, Chuck is phenomenal. He offers so many things, and he's been doing this for 35 years, and it's a little easier to have a third-party person brag about you. So there is benefit to it. Don't think there's a little bit of a drop-off for some people in making the calls yourself, but it's not significant enough not to do it. And, you know, you could even use I don't know if anybody's doing this, Chuck and Bruce, but is anybody using our ISAs strictly for I know they're all using it to initially call the leads. Is anybody also using them for lead follow-up? Somebody who's been with us a long time that doesn't even have the bandwidth to follow up on their leads? Is anyone doing that?
Yeah. Most everybody is using them heavily for lead follow-up. Now, we have a couple of people who are following up with old leads that they already established relationships with. As a matter of fact, I think it was just sometime this week, it might have been last week, that I heard one of our subscribers got a deal that they were able to buy. They closed it. And the thing is they talked to this lead 6 months ago and forgotten to follow up. And the ISA called, warmed it back up, handed it over, and they've got a closed deal already. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. You could even go so far as to have an ISA call and leave a voicemail for you. There's a lot of different ways to leverage that. And if you're curious about those, just have a chat with the sales team and Chuck and figure out. And there's some people's business that it does not work for, by the way. This just so that this doesn't sound like a full-blown commercial for an ISA service. There are markets that are a little tougher. Some of you have businesses that it might not be a perfect fit for, but there's a lot of people that are not doing the prospecting that they know that they need to do and know that they could do, and an ISA is a great complement to that business.
All right. Well, guys, we have no one in the queue. I'm going to do last call for queue, and if we don't get anybody, we'll wrap it up and let you all get back to work. Oh, we had someone jump in. Thank you very much. And again, guys, we've got a good turnout on the call. We know you're listening. Don't be afraid to participate. There's no bad question. There's no, we're not going to laugh at you no matter what your problem is. We're going to try to help you. So hit *6 and hit 1, and let me go to the person in the queue. First up is phone number ending in 4471. You're up.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Clear. Good. I have a rather embarrassing question, but I'm sure there's other people out there that are in my same boat. I signed up for your services and started getting the leads back in September, but typical cop-out, you get busy closing your deals. I did a couple business trips and then ended up having a pretty big surgery here a few weeks back. So I'm just now hitting the ground with my new website, getting my mailing marketing program together, getting my brochures together. But the embarrassing part is I'm sitting on leads now from September, October, November, and I just got my December leads. And I'm not sure if I should start with September. Should I start with the new ones in December? Maybe in the middle. I just want to have a logical sequence to what I'm doing. So I would appreciate your guys' input on that.
Absolutely. This is a question. So you call it an embarrassing question. If it's embarrassing, then I'm right there with you. And I think that a lot of other people have a similar question. So generally, for folks that have 3 or more months of leads that you really haven't touched yet, I believe that you always want to start with the newest first. I personally believe in a bookending process. So I will go to my newest set of leads first. I'll call through it. I'll then go to my oldest set of leads and call through that. And then I begin to just work toward the middle. Once I've called all my leads, I just go from top to bottom and just call down from newest to oldest from that point forward. So if I was behind like you say you are, and you're not really that far behind compared to some people that I talk with, but if I was 3 or 4 months behind, I'd go to the newest set of leads first, the oldest second, and then I'd start working in toward the middle.
Okay, so as far as my calls, I've got that, Bruce, but I'm thinking about as far as my mailers, should I keep that same formula?
Yep. Actually, I would just go ahead and start a campaign with every single lead. If it was me, I'd start the campaign with all of them, and just let your campaign. There's no need to really overthink this. Your letters are probably good, or at least they should be, and let it run from start to finish on each set of leads. Now, the exception to that would be if you have a set of leads that's 5 or 6 months old, I probably would just maybe package a smaller, shorter mailing campaign to some of those older leads. I might not do an entire 5, 6, 8 touch mail sequence to old leads that are 5, 6 months old. But everybody else under 5 months old, I'd do an entire sequence on.
Okay. Got it. For clarification, would you expand on an entire sequence?
So an entire sequence is going to really be, number one, market specific. So how competitive your market is. If it's really competitive, some people choose to let the first month or two go by and let their competition burn out a little bit and then pick up a campaign. Other people decide, like I did in my business, I decided to double up what any of my competitors were doing. So for me, a mailing campaign is anywhere from 8 to 11 touches in my competitive markets. In my smaller markets, I might only do 4 or 5 mail touches. So for me, it's typically going to be letter, postcard, letter, postcard, letter, postcard. My postcards are very specifically branding oriented. I don't try to pack my entire message onto a postcard. It's really just to keep me front of mind in front of somebody, put a face with a name also. and then the letters are where I kind of unpack the offer that I'm making.
Got it. The timing separation between letter one, postcard one, are we talking 30 days? Are we talking 2 or 3 weeks? What's your best recommendation?
If you're going to mix in postcards, I would probably do a touch every 3 weeks. If you're going to mix postcards in. If you're just doing letters, once a month is generally fine.
Okay. Now, the 8 to 11 touches, you're talking about knocking that out then within about, 3 or 4 months?
No, I normally knock in 8 to, if it's an 11 touch, I'm going to do every third week, and it'll extend for 6 to 7 months even.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thanks,
I would
guys.
like you in front of people for a solid 5 months. Let's say that. A solid 5 months is kind of the goal that you need to, at minimum, you need to be hitting people. They need to be aware of who you are, because at that 5 month point, that's when families are really starting to think about selling. Not all of them. Some have sold a little earlier than that. Some are going to take a year. Some are going to take 2 years. But the bulk of your list is going to start thinking about or preparing that for that sale at about the 5 month mark.
Okay. And just to make sure I'm crystal clear on this, with the fact that I've got leads from September and my latest batch just arrived the other day, to really hit the mailing marketing program strongly, I heard about the timing of the season, December and all that, and I agree with that. You'd recommend just go ahead and blasting all 4 months, not just waiting for a bit, just getting them out there all at once.
I would. Yep.
Okay.
Do you have a campaign set up already?
You know what? I don't.
Do you have your sequence?
No, I actually sent you and Chuck an email there the other day, so hopefully you guys will see that.
Oh,
and I appreciate
Winston.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I've got I have a halfway completed draft email back to you, but I had major payroll system problems the last 2 days that have kept me up till midnight, and I didn't get a chance to finish it.
Hey, I appreciate.
We'll have a coaching call.
Hey,
Bruce, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Hey, I want to add a couple of things before we get off this, and that is that, it's an important thing to remember and certainly glad you got through with your surgery, and you sound like you're in great spirits, and that's wonderful, and we're glad that happened. To avoid this kind of problem, the one thing that we're encouraging, and we have always encouraged people to do, is that as soon as you get started with us, get yourself on autopilot. And what we mean by that is go ahead and get stuff scheduled so that you don't have to wait to get this done. It's going to happen whether you're doing it or not. Your letters will go out and your business will continue, even if you are lethargic or procrastinate or, get hit by a train and got to recover. Your business continues. And, you made a point about December and, challenges in December, but realize that there are folks in situations right now sitting out there with probate properties on their hands that if they can get that moved out and get something happening on that now, that's the best Christmas gift that you could ever give to them, their families, everybody involved. It's a time where people sometimes get highly motivated because they're all together. The families get together over the holidays, and it's like, what are we going to do with grandma's house? We've been waiting 3-4 months. We got to get moving. And that's why the seasoned leads, your September leads, may be a great time to do that for your September leads. And the one thing that Bruce generally mentions along this time is that the older the leads are, the less likely it is that other people are going to be prospecting to them. That's why the long-term campaign works so well. We always talk about how well probate leads season. Most of the time, the people who are out there who are really looking at this in a very predatory way, all they're looking to do is to try to, steal the house, make a lowball offer and get it done, or, slap it into a listing and hope it happens. And people like the folks that we teach and our approach to this, which is to offer legitimate value, you're going to continue to do that and build that trust with that mailing that you're doing and the campaign that you're doing. So you're going to be the person that they think of when the right time and the right place hits. Top of mind, right time. That's where you make your money. So think about that. And this goes for everybody on here. Get on autopilot.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that, because I heard your coaching call last Thursday, and you guys were really talking about the benefits of hitting it hard here in December while other guys are sleeping. That's the goal after being behind the 8 ball. I want to finish the year strong and with my feet on the ground running. for the first quarter of 2022. So I appreciate the coaching, the tips, and all the help that you guys bring to the table.
Hey, I was going to add real quick. Go ahead, Bruce. You first. We both had
sorry,
something to add.
Tim. Yeah. I want to say one thing really quickly that just dawned on me a second ago. Every single person who, I'd be shocked if this wasn't the case. Every person who's selling a house this December across the country, I would imagine, especially with those of us that have like mid-sized to large markets, I would almost guarantee that those people who are selling a house have told, sometime in the last year, have told at least one person that they're not interested in selling a house. So we think that these lists that are older, they've already been combed through, but a lot of times they've answered the phone, they've gotten letters before from your competitors, and they've said, no, I'm not selling. And inevitably, a large portion of those people end up putting their house on the market or end up selling to an investor. So just because someone says no to you or a competitor doesn't mean that they're not going to be ready in a month or two. So it's worth the follow-up. It's worth pursuing the leads that have told everybody else no, because they're sitting down with their families, like Tim said, and they're preparing for the market. They're having conversations. They're changing their mind. Their motivations change. And when motivations change, their answers change. So those older leads, I wouldn't worry about those at all. There's plenty of business left in there.
Super. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Bruce.
Hey, the other thing I was going to add, and you sound like you have a pretty good handle on it, good attitude, and you're going to be doing the right things. If I could just picture somebody on the call doing their budget. I get 100 leads a month. I'm going to do an 11-touch campaign. That's going to get expensive. I just wanted to state the obvious, that if you're doing it correctly and you're making the calls, you're not going to mail to all of them 11 times, because by the time you get to the third, fourth, fifth month, if you're making the calls, you should have disqualified a significant number of them. And by the time you get to the 11th month, it may only be 10, 20% that are still survived that want to sell, that you haven't disqualified. So it kind of gives you a financial incentive to get on the phone and make the calls, so you don't mail to people that have already, listed or sold their property. So
right.
just a thought. Just an add-on thought that I had in case anybody was thinking, wow, 11 mailings, that's going to get expensive. You rarely mail. You're never going to mail to everybody 11 times. It's just going to be the survivors.
Well, I plan on using.
Imagine if you're. Go ahead, Winston.
What's that, Bruce?
No, I was going to say, I think it was either Jim or Tim that brought up probate cash again. I'm going to use the heck out of that, and hopefully we can do some good and help people, especially this time of year. And if I get a little 300 referral, then that's definitely going to help me with my future marketing costs.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. We have
a few of your vendors were throwing in on
Yep.
that as well.
Yep.
Got it.
All right.
Got it.
Well, thank you for stepping up. As soon as you did, a few other people followed examples. We got a few more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 2096. You're up next.
Hi, I have a similar question to the last caller, where I've been through the training, done lots of studying on probate, and I just feel stuck. Like, my process is pretty manual. I'm in an area where you don't sell the leads unless they've already been through the probate process. So I'm having a hard time, getting this process on autopilot and getting the letters out, getting a system going. So just looking for some advice on how to best do that and get started.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been with us?
I took the training, probably a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And then I sent some letters out. I subscribed to the white pages, made some calls, and just kind of got stuck in the manual process of it all. But I'm looking to hire a virtual assistant to hopefully help with this. At least the digital side. I'll still have to do either send it to a mail house and get it sent out, or just, print it myself and mail it out.
So where you need to start, number one is I generally don't tell people to get too worried about the planning, but you're going to need a little bit of a plan first. So the first thing I would do is I would just sit down with a piece of paper, and I'd say, okay, in a perfect world, how many mail touches would I send out? Okay. Make a list of the general idea of what each one of those mail pieces would say. If you're following my general formula, it's letter, postcard, extended through about 5 months. You want to lead with real estate help type messages first. So especially if your list is newer, they're often not thinking about selling yet, so they're gonna find an offer to help or provide them team members that can get them through the process. They're gonna find that a little bit more appealing than a hey, do you want to sell the house type of message. So I'm leading with help-based letters first, and then as I get further into that campaign, I'll send a couple of real estate-focused letters. I do encourage you to call everyone once a month. If you can call more than once a month, that's totally fine. And don't get worried if they haven't answered. So often I hear our clients say, I've called them 3 times. If they wanted to talk to me, they would have called me back. And that is true. If they wanted to talk to you when you called them, they would have called you back. But they don't always want to talk when you call them. So you need to keep in touch with them. That campaign that you're doing really needs to stick with them for 6 months. Okay. So that would be the first thing. I would say automate your letters through all the leads. All the leads, we can do your letters for you. You don't even have to think about it. You get a copy of the letter so you know when it hits, and you can take people out as you have conversations, or if they say, hey, I don't have real estate, you can scrub them right out in the system so you don't have to worry about trying to update a list with whatever mail house you're using when you find people that don't have real estate or have told you to walk in front of traffic. So I encourage you to use kind of the ATL system for that. I've done mail myself many times, and I completely understand when someone's business conscious or budget conscious, why they would want to do it themselves. So I can get behind that if it's a budget issue. But just make sure that whatever you do, you've got the right help to be able to stay on top of it. And the best way to do that is just set it up, automate it so that you can forget that aspect of your business moving forward. You don't have to worry about it. You know that it's going to happen.
Right.
The calls at that point become the most important thing. If your letters are on automation, your calls become important. You've got to have a ritual that you're sticking to with those calls, because it's really easy to take the lazy way out and say, hey, they're getting a letter. They're going to call me if they're interested. And the truth is 80% of your business is probably going to come from a call.
Mm-hmm.
Erica, you actually took the training over 2 years ago. I just checked real quick, and it doesn't look like you've actually gotten any leads. Where have you been getting the leads from? Have you been going down the courthouse yourself, and have you been doing your own mailings, or you just haven't really started at all yet?
Well, I was going through the legal transcripts and just getting them manually. I found a website where you can now go and get stuff online, so I don't have to pay for the transcript. But, I guess I get step 2 with, do I put them all in Excel, and how do I figure out how many touches they've had? It seems like just such a manual process. Did you put them in a database so that it prompts you what to do next type thing? I guess I need, a workflow.
Yeah.
Are you currently using a dialer or CRM at this point, or no?
I am researching CRM currently.
Okay. So if you're basing your campaign very heavily on the phone, which we really, really encourage you to do, if you're doing that, then you should get yourself a dialer, something like Mojo. So Mojo is not really a CRM where you're going to drop a bunch of emails or anything like that, but it's a really great system to be able to keep track of who you called most recently, how many times you've called each list, and how many calls you still have left to make from a phone perspective. So I recommend them. With our ISAs, we use CRM Grow. So those are the two dialers that I'm a big fan of. There's a handful of, just be careful if you go outside of those two. There's a handful of dialers that just aren't, they don't do what they say they're going to do. But those are the two best ones that we've found. And if you're not doing emails, then a dialer can function as a really affordable CRM for you.
Okay.
All right.
Does that
now,
do
if you want to send
too?
property alerts and CRM Grow does do texting. I don't think that Mojo does. I know CRM Grow does.
Okay.
And the CRM Grow technically is a CRM. I mean, it's I think $50 a month. If you add the dialer component in, I believe it's another $100. But it's not too bad when you're comparing that with a full-blown CRM with a website attached to it that might run $800 a month.
Sure.
So it depends on what you need in your business. If you need property alerts and you're focused on buyers and you want a website that promotes listings and things like that, go get a traditional CRM. If you're doing this from a dialer standpoint, I would go with a Mojo or a CRM Grow.
Okay, perfect.
And, of course, with our leads, anyone that is looking at ours, we have a CRM attached to the ATL system as well. It's not a dialer, but it can at least keep you structured and organized with the leads that you're working.
And Erica, you're in Texas, correct?
No, Colorado.
Oh, you are? Okay. When you originally in 2019, when you originally filled out the ticket, I think you asked about Texas. So, yeah. And what county in Colorado are you in?
El Paso County.
Okay. Yeah, there are some counties. You're correct. Then some counties in Colorado, you can't get the data until the probate's completed. You know, which is, it can be a downside, but it can be an upside too, because just like old leads, by that point, they should be ready to do something. You know, the probate's completed, they've got title, and, you know, it's been a while, so, you know, they're probably over the grief, and, you know, they're farther along in the process by the time you're able to get the data. So, yep, so it's kind of a catch-22. So right. You're going to go out starting Monday and do everything we told you and start taking advantage of these leads, right?
Today, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else we can help you with this week?
No, thank you so much. I appreciate the calls, and I do learn a lot from you guys.
Erica, hang on
just
a really fast second. Erica, if you took training 2 years ago, it probably was not Foundations. It would have been most likely Mastery. Come to Foundations. Mastery is an amazing course. I absolutely love it. Foundations is just a little bit more focused on what to say on the phone and what your marketing needs to look like. So in January, if you're free in the first week of January, sign up for Probate Foundations, and that probably is going to help as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, well, we have one more in the queue. This will be last call. If anybody else wants to jump in, it's *6 and hit 1. In the meantime, the last one in there is phone number ending in 7288. You're up next.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, great. This Timothy?
Yeah, so I've actually... No, my name's Dalton, actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
Your caller ID is different name.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Dalton. What can we do for you?
So I've never been in one of these probate calls, actually. I'm very new to the whole real estate stuff. Thanks. I got a lead of probate, and I just want to maybe get some common questions that should be asked so that I don't sound like silly.
Sure.
So I know she's executor of estate, but I don't really know what that means quite yet.
So the executor is just going to be the individual who has been given court or government authority to oversee the process of that estate or that probate process. So you'll have sometimes multiple heirs to a property, and oftentimes the decedent or the family chooses the person that has either the most free time or is the most organized to do the job of settling the probate. So it's a lot of paperwork. They have to make sure that the personal property gets divided up and sold, and they have to really oversee the bank account as well, so that everyone that is owed money gets paid money, and that the heirs get the proper distribution. So that's what the executor does. Also known as executrix if it's a woman, or the generic term for it is personal representative. Same, those are all the same. They're synonymous with one another.
Okay. So as far as that, like with, is that like same as a power of attorney then? Will they have like a thing from their lawyer, like an email that I would need to get? No.
Okay. I don't mean to answer it emphatically like that. I don't know why you would need to get a power of attorney. So give me a little bit more background on the scenario so that I can tell you why you would need a
So
power.
her sister just passed away.
Yeah.
And she was saying she won't be, I can't remember what you called it, the executor, but female side, until the beginning of the year.
Yep, executrix.
Executrix. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she won't be until the beginning of the year. And they're worried about losing the house. So I was kind of curious if that course or that program you were just talking about a minute ago, if that would be something they would be interested in.
Yeah. Cash advance, you mean? Sure.
No. Oh, no? Oh, forgive me. You said cash advance. Forgive me. I thought you said course. Okay. The cash advance, yes. The course, no. The course is not how to get through probate. The course is how you, as an agent or an investor, can maximize your business in the probate space. So don't send anyone that's not an agent to the class, because I'm telling you how to sell them on using your services in that class.
Right.
If they're not an executor or executrix yet, odds are, depending on the state, well, really not depending on the state, if they haven't been given authority by the court yet, then they probably can't sell property. Not until they've been given authority. Most banks, and I don't know, this probably will depend on the state. Most banks can't foreclose on a property. They typically have to give at least 6 months after someone passes away for the family to sell the property. So if the decedent passed away recently, the overwhelming majority of the time, the bank can't come get that house. So they have a couple of months at least.
Okay.
Does that help?
All right. Yeah, that does. I don't know. I don't have any other questions here written down, so I'll just keep joining these classes, and I'll kind of put them on the back burner, and I'll give them calls.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping in. We appreciate you attending and participating. All right. We have one more in the queue. One more. Bruce, I know you've got to go right on time today to get started with the foundations class. So looks like our last caller is going to be phone number ending in 1476. You're up last.
Good afternoon. This is Maggie. So I took your class or your course a few years ago, your Probate Master's course, and I haven't fully used it. I've been doing a lot of other things, investing. I've been doing more buyer stuff, and now I want to refocus and get more heavily involved in listings, and I thought, boy, I've got this information I'm not using. So my question is, what's a good way to get back in the saddle and start writing this course again?
So if you've taken Probate Mastery and if you've paid for it, I believe that you can get back into it. Don't quote me on that. So that's Probate Mastery's Chad Corbett's class, and it kind of covers a lot of everything. It's very heavily focused on the probate process, on the process of probate, not exclusively, okay, but heavily. I would also take Probate Foundations in January, and it's going to be the very beginning of January. And Foundations, if you're a subscriber, it's free. It goes over the process of you getting business. We're not big into the probate process in that class. We'll teach you that on these mastermind calls, or you can take Probate Mastery if you want to understand probate process a little bit more. But if you want to understand what you need to be doing in your business, get into foundations.
Yes.
Next thing is, if you're a subscriber, take advantage of the free coaching calls. We'll do a free coaching session with you once a month. For as many months as you are with us, or as many months as you need it. And those are good kind of customized direction for you.
Okay.
And other than that, sit down with a piece of paper and build out your campaign, like I've mentioned on the call a few times. The next question that people typically ask is, what letter needs to go where? And the truth is you don't know who your what personality your prospect has. There's a lot of things you don't know about the individuals in your campaign. So I'm going to tell you, it doesn't really matter if you send a specific letter at a specific time. You just want that consistency. So that's going to be the biggest thing that you need to focus on, is creating that consistency. And guess what? If you get it wrong and you send a couple of letters in an order that doesn't work for one person, that order might work for the next person. So don't get too hung up on having to do everything perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And would you recommend that I have not done your leads program? So I'm just wondering, is that something I should do now, or wait until I do the foundations course?
For the most part, I would just do it. Normally, when you grab our leads program, you could be anywhere from a week to 3.5 or 4 weeks even from getting your first set of leads. It depends on when we last delivered, or it depends on the county that you're in, whether we have a researcher in that market. So I would at least check on the leads now, and you've got a 5-6 month runway with your average leads. So if you don't have your campaign perfectly laid out for 2 or 3 weeks after you get your first set of leads, it's not really going to hurt anything, because you're building a campaign for the long run.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm ready to get back on.
All right.
So contact.
Well, thank you, Maggie. I was about to say, it's so interesting the way we have different themes on different calls. Every week is completely unique. But our theme today with Erica, Dalton, and Maggie seems to be people that, kind of got a little exposure a couple of years ago and didn't do much, if anything, and now they're reconsidering it, which we love. I mean, it's never too late to get started, and I would say it's even more urgent to find, out-of-the-box creative lead sources, especially for listings today, than it would have been a couple of years ago. So if it's okay with the three of you, Erica, Dalton, and Maggie, I'll have one of our account representatives reach out to you at the number you called in on, and just kind of walk you through the whole program again and explain everything. Is that okay with you, Maggie?
Yes, it is. Please.
All right. And you know what? We had 2 more jump in the queue. Bruce, are you good for another 10 minutes?
I'm good for 5 minutes.
All right. We're going to try to squeeze both in if we can. Real quick, next up is Roger Lacey. Roger, this is hard for both you and I, but briefly, how are you and what's up? What words of wisdom did you want to share?
I'll make it short and sweet. Got 3 things going on, and just to the audience that's listening, every one of them is different. Have a probate that was brought to me in a different county, and mom died. There was a daughter and a son that had Down syndrome that lived with her, and the husband died 2 years ago. Nothing had been probated on the husband's side. The daughter was the daughter of the father from a previous marriage, and the Down syndrome child was the daughter of the mother who recently died. So they brought me in, and I'm sitting there going, well, has anything been probated? And he said, no, but I want to buy the house. My investor brought it to me. He said, you know probate, Roger. I want you to tell me how this has got to work. And I said, let me see if I can find the daughter that who's taking care of the Down syndrome child. Found her, got her hooked up with an attorney. She doesn't have guardianship. Called one of her aunts, the sister of this deceased. Maybe that's a place that I can get somebody to file probate in the state of Arkansas, and it's an ongoing deal. The house is going to be foreclosed on, and I think the worst case is that I won't be able to get probate filed and find guardianship for the biological son who's got Down syndrome, and it just blew my mind. I'm using every aspect of what I've learned in this and my whole real estate, because I'm dealing with a foreclosure, trying to do stuff to stop the foreclosure, but that's not going to happen. So I've advised my investor, let's show up at the foreclosure sale and pick it up there, because we're unable to get anybody to file probate for this. And I am using this as a quick lesson for anybody that I've talked to say, this was not fun. This is what can happen. Get your people into a trust, get your property into a trust, and here are 3 people that can help you get your estate in a trust. That was as quick as I can make that story. The other one, we'll let number 2, the second call deal, go through.
Hey, come back next week. A story a week from Roger for December. How's that?
Oh, geez.
that was a good one, buddy. What's that?
It may wind up. I'll have to go resort to something like Who's on First.
Great story, my friend. We appreciate you.
The new version of that is I was watching an episode of You. All right, nobody's going to get that, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. That's like Phil. All right, thank you very much, Roger. Great story, great win, and I think you're the win of the week, buddy. Thank you. All right, let's try real quick. We got 2 minutes. Last up this week is phone number ending in 7428. Is it something quick, or can we call you back off the call?
Yeah, no, this is pretty quick. I was rolling through some old leads and had a good conversation with the one who inherited the property, and she was sounded like having success with an existing tenant as a rental, and just I think re-upped the lease with an increase in the rent. And I was curious to know what kind of bucket, as far as follow-up goes, you would stick a lead like that in, as far as next contact. Is it? Do I continue?
So they just renewed a year's lease, right? It's leased for another year.
I believe so. I should have asked that, but I didn't. But it was. I'm assuming so. Yeah.
Yep, Bruce. Quick answer, please.
3 months.
3 months.
Every 3 months, and then in about month 9, I would jump on them every 30 to 45 days, unless they say, hey, we're about to renew again.
Then go back to the three months.
Yeah, if they're going to renew again, I would just do it every third. In a year, you might even do it every 4 or 5 months. Just don't let them forget you. So for now, every 3 months. If they renew again, every 5th or 6th month is fine.
Okay. And what would be a good value play or option to be the kind of reason for the call?
Hey, I was thinking about you. I don't know if you guys have PMI or not, but if you have PMI, here's a value for the property. You might want to get rid of it. Hey, I was thinking about you, wanted to see how that lease was going. It looks like rents have gone up a little bit this year. Are you going to up the rent? Hey, here's what values have done. Have you thought about selling yet? Hey, there's a new school coming into the community. Just look for little different things. Sure. We should have these triggers built into our business anyway for all of our prospects.
Yeah. Great. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, gang. Great call. Great participation. We got it. We took it right to the end. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to particularly thank the half a dozen people that actively participated. I want to challenge each of you, take one thought, one idea, one thing that inspired you on this call. Go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. We will talk to you same time next Thursday.